what I experience with Filipinas is that they're always very good for my ego. You know, I always feel like the man around a Filipina.
Have you ever heard of a passport bro? The kind of man who uses a notebook like this in order to get a woman from abroad.
The concept is Western men are not satisfied with the trend in modern dating and modern relationships, so they are changing it up and going overseas.
Typically, these men believe that women in the West have become too masculine for that. And I guess to be fair, I do have a dick, so maybe he's got a point there. I'm dead. I can't. Why did I say that? I be riffing sometimes.
So the problem nowadays is men are not being men and women are being men.
Passport bros are a very peculiar movement of men on the internet who come together to speak about pursuing women internationally, which on its own isn't necessarily a bad thing, but often comes coupled with quite a bit of misogyny.
There's no birth control in the Philippines. Young Filipino women have not, this is going to sound gross, but they haven't burned out their ovaries with birth control.
Typically, they're divorced, and quite frequently, this is like their third or fourth time trying to find a marriage. The problem is not them, of course, but feminism and the way that the Western media has warped women into essentially these unforgiving harpies that only want their money.
The ability to be humble and humble to your man so that he can be a leader and you're not being a biatch all the time. That's what guys from America are looking for in general.
Divorce is not a consideration. It's at least not a game plan. It's not a retirement plan for the woman. You're most likely to get through the hard times knowing that, your wife, my Filipino wife, isn't thinking of nuking it all with a divorce.
They whine and whine and whine about how terrible American women are. They socialize with other men who, of course, are not responsible in any way for their failures with American women.
But looking at relationships from a propagation and survival perspective, it makes sense that a well-established man, like moi, would partner with a young, highly fertile female.
And in more recent years, we have seen the repercussions of this movement with some men who have decided to go abroad, mysteriously disappearing after they, made the decision to be very public about basically wanting to do sex tourism and not respecting the women from certain countries. I can't imagine what could possibly have happened to them. Now, to be clear, I don't think there's anything wrong with someone who ends up falling in love with someone abroad, but most of these men are looking to have a very particular power imbalance in their relationships. In fact, it seems like in many of these relationships, money is simply a tool of control that these men use. And typically we don't get insight into these relationships, but with TikTok, we've managed to see an instance like this play out live. And I have been following this saga for the past couple of days, and I wanted to bring it to you guys here.
It only took 2 years, literally to the day, December 27th, for my Filipino wife to become fully Americanized, hate everything about me and what I provide, and decide to leave.
But I am getting ahead of myself. Hi, my name is katblaque, and I like to think that I make content for introspective hot people. And if you're here, I'll assume that's you. And if you're brand new here, you know exactly what to do if this video pleases you. Click my button and join us right here on the channel. So in this video, I want it to be kind of experimental. I want to do this reaction while doing my makeup because I am on my way to the goth club as per usual. And it's been a really long time since I've done my makeup on YouTube, so I figured that I would do my makeup and we would watch these videos together. So as most of you guys probably have heard by now, TikTok is about to be banned. I have really appreciated TikTok as a platform that empowers certain people to speak and to also find community. I follow a lot of women on TikTok who make content geared at other women who have been in abusive relationships, women who have been in marriages just like this one that we're going to talk about, and there is an incredible community and connection on TikTok that really has not been replicated by any other app. And part of why I wanted to talk about this is this couple is having their discourse very, very publicly, and it's pretty clear that the wife is reaching out for some support in some way. And that is the power that TikTok has had in many other conversations, the ability to connect somebody to support. And especially as this country becomes more openly misogynistic, I definitely worry about the way in which women will no longer be able to have community with each other that will keep them safer from misogynistic men. I know that for a lot of women, TikTok has very much been a central part of them feeling empowered to leave some of their relationships. And that's another thing about this that's kind of interesting. It's clear that the husband in this case is not very happy about the fact that she has support. And I wanted to talk about this, especially, during a time when this happened, so that we can shed light on the fact that one of the reasons why they're trying to ban this app is because of stuff like this. So I'm sure you guys all understand now the concept of the passport bro. Passport bros have basically bought into this idea that women in America have become too independent and therefore too masculine. And there are women in other parts of the world who subscribe to a bit more traditional femininity and would appreciate all of the things that these men have to offer them.
Because American guys are not bossy and not chauvinist, not like other like European countries and whatnot. We really want partners in our relationship. But if his wife's trying to be a girl boss all the time and run the show, that is very degrading to his morale. And so what I experience with Filipinas is that they're always very good for my ego. I always feel like the man around a Filipina.
Now, of course, in a lot of these dynamics, we have somebody who is very well off with somebody who is much less well off. These men overwhelmingly want to essentially purchase a woman from a poorer country who will be thankful for the things that he has to offer, a response that increasingly few men are feeling they're getting from American women. And so most of what these passport bros talk about online is how to find and secure these women. And there's an entire community online of these men. But one of the side benefits, I guess, of TikTok is that you get to see so many of these videos from men who are claiming to be passport bros. So there is this content creator who goes by the username Chad2Dad. Chad2Dad is an American man living in Hawaii. He lives in a 4-story mansion, and most of his content is about his family with his Filipino wife. And he makes a point of describing her as his Filipino wife. And that is something that caught my attention when I saw the very, very first video of his that came into my feed. Now, we're going to watch this video together, and I'm going to share some of my thoughts because this is one of those really interesting circumstances online where you get to see both perspectives. Because at the very beginning of their issues, they were not talking to each other and were instead using TikTok as a way of communicating with each other, which I thought was kind of interesting and also very modern, I suppose. I think it's a good example of maybe what not to do. But anyway, let's watch this video. Let's pull this video up.
Well, it didn't take long. It only took 2 years, literally to the day, December 27th, for my Filipino wife to become fully Americanized, hate everything about me and what I provide, and decide to leave. Yeah, welcome to the shittiest post that I'm ever going to make. There's a lot to it, and I'm not going to go into it, okay? But suffice to say, after providing and going on the Disney World trip, which included the funeral for my mom, I got up to day 6, I think, on that, because it all broke down at Magic Kingdom. Fucking ironic. And I didn't post anything after that, because when we got back from Orlando to St. Simons, Georgia, I was greeted with the announcement from Jayanne that she wanted a separation. And then I discovered through text that she had been discussing this with her family and making plans to also take the children. So that's heavy, right? That's a nuke. And I'm going to go into my bunker. So I came downstairs in my nice 4-story mansion and just stayed by myself through Christmas Eve and through Christmas Day. And I missed Christmas with my children. My in-laws, my mother and my father-in-law, and Jayanne, they proceeded to open the presents without me. Presents all of which I bought.
As if you couldn't go down there.
Yeah.
Or up there, rather.
The separation is a separation. I'm lucky enough to have a big house, and the logistics of it can be met right away. But I spent Christmas utterly by myself.
By choice.
It's coming up on New Year's Eve, and I'm still alone.
By choice.
Because there's no communication from her.
Oh.
Why? Because she's communicating with her parents. She has the total backing and validation of her parents. Plus TikTok, all external sources of validation. And it's my position, my feelings are not relevant. She's got it figured out. She's got a plan. I'm waiting to hear what the plan is, and we'll see what happens from that point. But I'm I'm at peace with what has occurred, what could occur. I am done being Mr. Fix-It. Fix-It Felix. I'm not going to be the simp, nice guy, Fix-It Felix anymore. A relationship takes two people, and she made the decision for the separation. She's made the announcement and made plans with family to take our children back to the Philippines, and she's an adult. She has accountability. It's on her to come to me and explain to me what her plan is, such that it is, and what can be done about it. So, surprise, no more countdown with the great fun in Disney World. It was a fucking disaster. And, that's the truth. Social media is not about the truth, but I'm about the truth, so that's what I give you.
And you know what's really interesting about him saying that? If you go to his page, you will see that most of what he posts are happy videos with his family. Now, some of those videos are more disturbing than others. I'm going to share with you one of the videos that I saw. One of the very first videos I saw that they actually took while they're at Disney World. And I'm going to do what these parents are not doing. I'm not going to share their identity. I have a lot of feelings about people who do that, who share the faces of their children and footage of their children online. I'm not going to make a video about that right now, but there's a lot of people out there, especially with AI, who would love to get access to footage of your children. So let's not feed those people maybe. But anyway, another video, another topic. But I want to show you the very disturbing video that I saw on his page of his daughter. And I'm going to read to you the caption on it because it indicates something very core and central to his ideology. And we're going to keep this in mind when we see the next couple of videos because we are not done. There are so many more videos to watch. So on a video of one of his daughters, he says, "The foundation of human existence is a mean father ensuring the survival of his daughter so that she can make him sons who will fight for his grandfather's values. Swipe if you don't understand." Now, this should not shock you, but something that I have definitely noticed as I have engaged with men like this, because I have, unfortunately, is a lot of these men operate from a position of insecurity. They operate from a perspective of, frankly, arrested development. You can kind of get that impression in the video that I just showed of him talking about it, right? He essentially decides to act like a child. So my wife wants a divorce. It's her fault that I didn't go upstairs and I chose to stay downstairs. He is a petulant child. And of course, a lot of American women probably don't want to deal with that, right? Now, something to keep in mind about Chad's dad is that he is, I believe, 58 years old, right? He's 58 years old. And his wife, who we're going to share videos of as well, I believe is 28 years old.
There's something a man gets beat up by everyone for. Beat up by feminists, traditionalists, and other men as well. Age gap relationships. It's ironic that we've progressed enough to accept gay marriage and virtually any form of marriage, but people are repulsed by a big age gap. Is it innate? Is it a biological reaction? If all demographics consider an age gap of 10 or more years not healthy, 20 years that's inappropriate, and 30 years is repulsive. More than that, people bust out their pitchforks and their torches. They just can't stand big age gap relationships. I don't think it's an instinctual reaction. It's actually a very recent social trend for couples to be similar in age. As our culture has become more complex, in order for the partners to relate to each other, they have to be familiar with the same music, art, food, and world events. But looking at relationships from a propagation and survival perspective, it makes sense that a well-established man, like moi, would partner with a young, highly fertile female, like my wife. As long as he lives long enough to establish his family's safety and long-term wealth, it's totally a winning strategy. So all of you who support diversity and tolerance, you should add age gap relationships to your list of virtues.
And very clearly, for a lot of these men who are passport bros, the power imbalance is the most attractive part of the relationship, right? They like being able to have a type of power over the women who they bring over. And as you'll hear in some of the language that he shares in other videos, he certainly feels like his money has purchased him a certain type of relationship, and he's very upset with the fact that she's rejected it. How dare she, as a Filipina, decide to not bow down to him? Anyway, it's pretty clear when you read the caption on one of his daughter's videos that he has a very patriarchal Western chauvinist mindset, right? He wants to procreate with these women from other countries who will continue the legacy of his grandfather, who is a white man, right? I mean, it should go as no surprise to share with you that really common trait amongst these passport bros is racism, right? Not all passport bros are white men. Let's not get it fucked up, because black men be on that bullshit as well. But it's pretty common for these guys to carry a very white supremacist Western chauvinist mindset and feel that they are enriching these women from impoverished countries by infusing them with their Western chauvinism. In his own description of his daughter doesn't really exist for anything other than procreation. And you'll see in this relationship that seems to be the way that he views his wife. Really common trait amongst these men who bring over these women from another country is they want to essentially have somebody who is just constantly in service to them.
What we've lost in modern dating is the yin and yang, the man being in charge. Because girls don't want that these days. You've all been told, you're going to be a strong, independent woman. You can do everything and whatnot. And so prior to meeting JN, I was dealing with a lot of super arrogant girls. I was just like, I don't mind a good conversation. I don't mind a good confrontation.
So you love what else? Like, am I caring? Am I loving? Am I praising you enough? Is that the other traits that I have?
You never praise me enough.
Hey,
you gotta
I'm
work. You gotta
all
work.
the time.
You have to work on that.
Yeah, like, thank you, love.
Yeah, but the thank you's not the same as that was so great. You did a really good job at that. No other man could do that. You're the best. You gotta stroke my ego. Guys thrive on being appreciated. It's really simple to please a guy. Just let him know he's the man.
Now, I will share that I have a very service-oriented approach to my relationships. My relationship with my partner is very much like that. I spend a lot of time cooking and cleaning, and I take a lot of pride in doing that for my partner. So I'm not going to say that this is always a bad thing. But with the passport bros, they're really trying to trap and triangulate a woman into doing this. And it's interesting because if you do listen to some of the discourse that Western women have about men right now, about what men are seeking in relationships right now, something that you'll hear very commonly is that a lot of men are essentially looking for a new mommy. They're looking for somebody to essentially take the place of their mother, someone who will cook and clean for them and will love them unconditionally.
I'm a legit passport bro, but I took it to the ultimate, right? I didn't use my passport to be a sex tourist. I didn't use my passport to take advantage of her. I used my passport to expand my options and to meet and talk with more women. Women who, through the incentives I said before, may have more open-mindedness toward what I was proposing. And what I was proposing was a very sincere and long-term relationship. As you can see right now, Jayan is here in America. We're going to be married this month. We have a child, and we have another child on the way.
Watching Joy Ann's content, it's pretty clear that she does actually get a lot out of being a housewife. And I think that if that is what you want to do with your life, that is a-okay, right? But the issue in this relationship is more so that clearly he uses pregnancy as a way of trapping her into that dynamic. And when you have someone in a dynamic like that, it's very easy to take advantage of them. It's very easy to abuse them and put them in a situation where they feel like they can't go anywhere. And frankly, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because I think that is happening. And I thought it would be useful to draw attention to stuff like this because I think that it's something that we're going to have a harder time discussing. The fact that a lot of men are trying to trap women, sometimes through pregnancy. I don't want to spoil it, but we'll get to it. Anyway, like I said, Joy Ann makes a lot of videos on her platform about her being a Filipino housewife. She spends a lot of time cleaning his house and has a lot of videos of her cleaning his house. And that is the main thing that she publishes content about. That's really her bread and butter. And like I said, it seems to me in these videos that she clearly enjoys doing that. And I think that that's great. But he very obviously values her mostly for that. So Joy Ann did make a video in response to his video, and we are going to watch it and come back with some thoughts.
It only took 2 years, literally to the day, December 27th, for my Filipino wife.
I think the word Americanized has nothing to do with someone who is disrespectful, especially to your people. Let's say that your closest people. It's because he disrespected my parents, screaming, snatching some things, verbally and physically. So what I am thinking that time, you are freely disrespecting me and abusing me. I think that's enough. You can do it. You can do it 24/7 to me. You can do it anytime. But to the point that you're gonna be disrespecting my people, especially my parents, I think that's what, draw the line. I think that's when the time that I said I want to separate. It's not because I wanted to separate just because I wanted it. I've dealt a lot with him for the last 2 years that I am here.
We got back from Orlando to St. Simons, Georgia. I was greeted with the announcement from Jayan that she wanted a separation.
For the last 2 years, I am standing up for myself. I know it's really difficult because I have children. And I honestly doesn't want to separate with him. It's just came out to my mouth that I'm so fed up. I'm so done. It's because I'm so hurt and he's not gonna change. There's no way that he will change. All I know is if I didn't stop or I didn't make a move, it's gonna be a normal. He's gonna disrespect me. He's gonna disrespect my people. He's gonna disrespect. So this is just me that, putting some boundaries.
Hate everything about me and what I provide and decide to leave.
He claims that I hated what he provides. As far as I remember, I'm always grateful for him. I'm always vocal, thanking him for my life right now. You can see my social media. I never criticizes him. It's always praising, even though there's something going on inside our house. I will never speak or talk about our fights on my social media. It's because I am protecting him and I'm protecting my children. We have kids, the next 10, 20 years, there's gonna be social media and they might see this. I think it's really selfish for him to post for views, for attention, for sympathy. If you can go up here and talk to me and you will say to people that out of transparency, I will talk about it, but you are transparent to the public, but you are not transparent to me. Just for clarification too, half of the trip paid by his ex-wife. All of the park tickets, Universal and also Disney World, it was paid by his ex, and also the Airbnb and the grocery. I just wanted to let you know too that we have a really good relationship with the ex-wife, and to be honest with you, she's really nice to my kids and she's really nice to me. She's like my closest mother here in Hawaii. I can talk to her anytime, and she's really a good person. And I remember when we were in the mainland, she told us, my parents and me, and she said that this is my gift to you. You are wondering why my parents came over, because we supposedly go back to the Philippines for 3 months, just me and the kids. It's because I am really homesick. I've been here for 2 years. He promised me that we're gonna go back to the Philippines at least once or twice a year, but that never happened. And so I kept on telling him that I need to go back. It's because we have activities, like my ate is gonna get married, my big sister, and I am the maid of honor. And also I wanted to do some christening for the kids, and also I wanted to spend Christmas with my whole family. It's been 2 years since they haven't seen Race and they haven't met Rocky, because I gave birth to Rocky here in Hawaii. And it's just really a family thing. You need to go back, and it's just sad. It's because fast forward to the booking day, he already booked going back to the Philippines, and then that same day he canceled it too. It's because he said that I'm ungrateful. It's because I didn't say thank you right away. It's because at that time I got excited. It's because the ex-wife said that she's gonna come same day, the same exact day. When he booked it, he canceled it right away. And I don't have any choice. It's because I don't have money. I don't have any control about finance.
And I discovered through text that she had been discussing this with her family and making plans to also take the children.
Translate, please, if anybody knows Tagalog.
My ate, my big sister, is back in the Philippines. I contacted her about what's going on here. And then I told her that my mom is gonna go back same date with my papa. And she needs to book for my ate. But that didn't happen. It's because they have to rebook the ticket for them to go back to the Philippines. It's earlier because my papa supposedly go back to the Philippines on January 5th. But that didn't happen. They went back home yesterday, December 30, and they arrive at December 31. What's really sad is that my parents are very excited, especially my papa. He thought that it's gonna be a great trip, but it's disaster. They came here just to be disrespected. They stress na sobrang stress na mga mukha nila, alam mo yun. They're supposed to have a good time here, pero yung nakuha nila yung pambabastos. Sobrang sakit ng ulo ko kasi nakita ko yung mga mukha nila. Nakita ko yung sakit. Nakita ko talaga sa mga mukha nila na nasasaktan sila, pero wala naman silang sinasabi. Pero kinakita ng dalawang mga mata ko na alam niyo, walang ginawang masama yung mga magulang ko sa kanya, pero yung bigay niya sa mga magulang ko sobrang pambabastos. Ang bastos talaga, promise. Hindi ko talaga matanggap, kaya nasabi ko na makipaghiwalay na lang ako. Kasi nung kinausap ko siya, parang wala lang sa kanya. Parang sobrang sakit.
So to me, if you read between the lines of her basically saying that she doesn't want to talk specifically about what happens every day in her house because it would potentially hurt the feelings of her children, I think it's pretty clear that he's being abusive to her. And essentially what she said is that you can treat me like that, but you're not going to treat my parents like that. And that is why she opted to go through a divorce and a separation, right? And, to me, this is so heartbreaking because obviously you hear that in their situation, she does not have a lot of freedom. He pays for everything. He provides all the money. She doesn't have money of her own. If she wanted to go and do something for herself, she needs to ask for his permission. And this is what I'm talking about. To me, there's such a huge difference between a woman who opts into a relationship like this while also having her own money and resources, and a situation like this where this woman, because of her circumstance, because of her legal status, has to be submissive to this man if she wants anything. That is the thing that these passport bros are attracted to. I don't think there's anything wrong with meeting a partner in another country and falling in love, but these people really, really want slaves. Sex slaves who can't legally get away. And so abuse existing in dynamics like this is unsurprising to me and unfortunately all too common.
Now, I saw my wife post on TikTok yesterday, I think it was, that she has to ask permission to get money. Yeah, actually, that's true. And when I thought about it, I realized that was pretty fucking embarrassing. It's not like I spend a lot of money on myself. I don't go drinking with the boys or golfing or play video games, stuff like that. See, my philosophy is the money that I earn is the family's money. There's no mine and all that. But, you know, what she said was pretty triggering. So I want to tell you something. I've come up with a plan. And the plan is for Jayanne to earn the money that she wants. And how are we going to do that? She started a business. She started a business as a landlord. That way, she can file taxes and contribute to Social Security. She needs to do that anyway to become a U.S. citizen and learn responsibility with money. Landlords have a lot of responsibility. They have a lot of overhead, right? The construction that I'm doing down here, she's going to have to pay for that out of the first couple, 3, 4, 6 months of the rent. And any maintenance and support that I give her, she got to pay me like a handyman. And learn responsibility with money by running a business, profit, loss, everything else. Yeah, early on in our marriage, after about a year, I just stopped giving her money because I was getting pissed off at the waste, right? And another thing is, I don't feel like a wife should get paid to be a mom, right? You're both contributing to the family with your sweat equity. I do sweat equity as well as cash. And a mom taking care of kids, being a stay-at-home mom, that's her investment in the family. I don't think you should get paid to be a mom. So I don't know if this will work, but I think I found a way for Jayanne to generate the income that she wants, contribute to her citizenship, and earn the money that she has so that she can be more responsible for it. And stop saying that she needs permission from me to spend money or to get money.
I think that if this is the life that they want to live, sure, but these things don't really happen in a vacuum, do they? There's a reason why this is the way it is. I think that this guy shows a lot of cognitive dissonance in the way that he thinks about things. And to me, the most fascinating aspect of the passport bro is the frustration around the idea that they could be used for their privilege, you know, used for a green card, right? But then also only seemingly presenting their money as their main value.
My final word on this is there's nothing wrong with taking advantage of the situation. There's nothing wrong with a man taking advantage of his ability to kind of fly to any country with a U.S. passport, and it's nothing wrong with him having a better chance of striking up a conversation, being heard, so that he could voice his goals in the relationship with a woman who may be more apt to listen or have a little bit more incentive to listen. And it's those incentives that a lot of people are dunking on the passport bros about. The incentive for the younger woman from a Southeast Asian country is what it is. It could be economic. Is it opportunistic for her? Hell yeah. Every relationship is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to improve your lives by pooling resources, combining your support, bolstering each other's spirit to be better people. Unfortunately, it can be a real drag sometimes too, but that's what relationships are. They are opportunities. And I choose to cast them in a positive light, look at the realities of it, and embrace them. work with them. A marriage is a financial contract. Living together under the same roof has financial obligations. Who's paying for what? Who's doing what? Everything is a negotiation in life, even when it comes to love, romance, and marriage. If you're not going to acknowledge those things, you're probably a little lost in your relationship and it may not work out.
These people want to get into transactional relationships, but they don't want to just plainly call it that. And that's something I will always find fascinating. The way that men will essentially want to treat a woman like a sex worker, but have a discomfort with actually going to a sex worker and paying for a sex worker. And the reason why that is, of course, is ego, right? A lot of men his age want to believe that the beautiful 28-year-old woman wants to be in a relationship with him. And I find that to be so delusional. And part of why I have so much to say about this is because unfortunately, when I was a minor, I had a lot of interactions with men like this because unfortunately, this may surprise you, but a lot of these dudes, they're also into kids, right? They're also into kids. That's another big reason why that particular video bothered me. I don't want to insinuate that of him, but I've had a lot of interactions with this kind of guy. And this kind of guy, sometimes their desire to meet women from another country who they can subjugate extends into trans women, sometimes also from that community. I have had this conversation a lot in the context of farang, these men, white men who go to Thailand to meet Thai women, and often that will extend into lady boys, right? And yeah, that's one of those things where some of this stuff intersects with my experience. The reality that a lot of these men want to get with somebody who they can essentially subjugate. And if these women are othered in some way, immigrant status, transness, etc., they will essentially feel that because of their privilege, because of the way that they have social capital in this country as men, more specifically white men, more usually than not, that the women they are with should just bow down to them. And for some men, especially men who do struggle with women, especially men who do genuinely struggle to form relationships with women, this situation works very well for them. They're able to use their money to get the kind of relationship they want. It's transactional. It's clear. They don't actually need to think about themselves. They don't actually need to challenge themselves. In Joyanne's video, she talks about having a relationship with the ex-wife, right? To me, it's pretty clear that she has a relationship with the ex-wife because, well, the ex-wife probably is very aware of his bullshit.
I did an entire deep dive investigation on chat so that you don't have to, and what I've discovered, thanks to some comments on my other video, will shock you. So his first wife was Mel, and they have this IT business in Hawaii, on the island of Oahu in the city of Honolulu, and that's her. And it looks like the business was founded in 1991, and then this is a picture of them in 2020. Okay, so that's an important detail because what I'm about to tell you next is very strange. But what it appears to happen is that Mel had cancer, and so she couldn't have children. And he wanted to have children. And so it almost seems like the ex-wife, they're still business partners, and it was almost like she was in on the whole idea of him having a baby with somebody else. On his website, he has this whole section about how he is basically rebuilding his ex-wife's house. Notice that? Renovating the house of my ex-wife. So he's super involved with her. And remember how in the latest information on Disney World, he said my ex-wife paid for the Disney trip? And that's because they are still business partners, and who knows what else. They have some sort of deep friendship. Apparently their marriage ended because he wanted to have children and that woman couldn't have children, but they're still enmeshed. He's fixing her house, they own a business together. So then it turns out he has this son from a previous relationship, and this woman was not the wife, the ex-wife. Notice how he says the son was born on 2019, and apparently the woman was married to somebody else, which is why he legally couldn't get on the birth certificate. In some states, the father of the baby is presumed to be the father, even if it's not. There's some states like that. So whatever it was, he, or who knows if he was even the father, whatever it is, he's like, this is my son, but he wasn't married to the woman. And it seems, based on these dates, if he was born in 2019 and that other picture of him and his ex-wife are from 2020, it's almost like he was with that woman and they had either like an open relationship or he cheated with that woman and the ex-wife didn't seem to care, or maybe they were just business partners at that point. It's getting really weird, okay? On the bottom of his website, I noticed that it says powered by Kent and designed by J.Ann. So he has the new wife working for him, this supposed wife who doesn't have any of her own money. So is she literally a slave? And on his company website, here he has himself. He has his ex-wife, Melanie Osei, who's the one who's this office manager, I believe. And she is the one who paid for Disney World. And then you have J.Ann, the new wife, the young thing, and then some random guy that works for them. But again, really strange that it's like new wife working for him, old wife working for him. Is J.Ann paid? And so then he has a lot of content. I found this Instagram page and it's, look, your dad isn't single anymore. You have a stepmother and a younger brother. I don't think that's really a stepmother when you weren't married to the ex-baby mama. And also it's whatever. It's really complicated. It's like a half sibling anyways. I think that's just called your whatever. Anyway, this is like all stuff about him basically showing off how he's like such a great dad now. It's almost like that when narcissists are wounded because the baby was taken away from him. He's, look how great of a dad I am. And he's almost like proving it by doubling down, by being like, I'll just get a new younger wife and prove that I can be a good father. And then I'll have these 2 kids. And he named his new kid Rocky and his first son was named Rock. Isn't that a little strange? And one of the strangest parts of his website is that's him young. I guess he's been always really into cosplay, interesting building, elaborate costumes. Like this, I guess this is a transformer or something. I don't even know, but he's into exotic cars. He has his IT business. And then apparently he's also like a plumber, a handyman, electrician, like jack of all trades person. So I don't really understand what's going on. This is so much more than I even thought. Like, I've heard of untraditional poly marriages and stuff. This almost seems like it is a kind of poly marriage where the ex-wife is still his wife, but not in the romantic way. And then it's like the new wife is there to also work in the business and then provide the child rearing. And so, yeah, part of me feels bad for this guy because obviously it would really be really sad to have like your son taken away from you. And I have a lot of empathy for that. But he also got himself into this situation by getting a random woman pregnant who was married to someone else while he was presumably married to a wife who had a business together with, whom they've been married for so long, and she unfortunately had cancer. And then all this, despite all that, then he meets J.Ann, who's actually from a good family in the Philippines. Like, she's not from deep poverty. Like, her family owns businesses, and obviously like the dollar is much stronger than the Filipino currency, but even so, like in the Philippines, her family is not struggling, you know? So somehow this is all happening. And I don't think this is just to blow up fame. Like, there could be an aspect of it like, oh, if we can go viral, we can make more money, like just as a side note. But I think there's so many other ways they could have done that with like cute skits, and like mom influencers go viral all the time anyway, just for having cute kids, and like they didn't need to. So and the fact that the whole thing with like the disrespecting the Filipino in-laws, I just don't think he would have made that up just to go viral, because that's like pretty bad stuff. Like, that's like, you know, if someone threw keys at me or did a slow clap to me, or like, I would just be like, no, we're done.
Divorce, believe it or not, I know it's very common in America, but is not as common in other cultures. Within my family, divorce is very, very, very taboo. Very, 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 very taboo. I can't really think of too many people in my family who are divorced, but the ones that I can think about, I think about immediately because they are known as the people in our family who have been divorced, right? So divorce, especially if you come from a more religious community, which the Philippines, to my understanding, is predominantly a Catholic country, that is just going to be a really common thing. And one of the interesting things about the way that he talks about her and Filipino culture is that she loves her family. Family is such a huge part of her and her culture. And I think that it's interesting to hear the ways in which he resents her family.
The 5 things that I did to disrespect my Filipino in-laws. Now, I qualify Filipino because different cultures get disrespected in different ways. So don't come at me for being a racist. This is the context. I'm just going to tell my side of it. Not my side of the story, but I'm going to say what I did to disrespect my Filipino mother and father, and as well as my sister. Number one, I did not eat the food that they cooked. It wasn't because I didn't like it, and it wasn't because I wasn't hungry. It's because I protested. I didn't eat the food that they cooked. And then number two, when they left the food out on the table, that stayed out all day, when we came back from one of the Disney World days, I called them slobs for leaving the food out. Number three, I clapped sarcastically when Mama finally stepped in and helped Jayan by bathing the kids after a long day. Clapped loud and long and sarcastically. Number four, I snatched the keys out of Papa's hands. He spent his morning loading the car up, getting ready to go back to Georgia. And he went to hand the keys to me, and I just snatched them out of his hand and went down to start the car. And number five, I told Ate, fuck you too, when she said that I was being a bad host. All right, that's the facts. That's the truth. Those are the top 5 things that I did to disrespect my Filipino mother and father-in-law and my sister-in-law. Woke up this morning to almost 1,400 comments on my last post about my wife requesting a separation. And the only thing I'm going to say about that right now, and not get into any details, although I know you all want to, hear more of the story, is that the reason I went public with what's going on. And I did that because I believe in this situation, transparency is the most important thing. I think it's the most important thing in any problem. Just be honest. Now, we've gotten to this point because there's been a little bit of dishonesty from Jayan in the form of texting with her family and people behind my back, discussing things that she really should have just come to me with first. That was our agreement.
Why? From
the beginning of our relationship. We've struggled with it, and that deal was broken. And so I'm not talking to anybody behind her back. I'm talking about our problem to the world.
Immaturity.
So that there's
right?
no mistake that I am sincere and authentic in everything that I think and feel. I may not be right, and I'm probably not right in a lot of cases along the path that has gotten to this point. And I will be the first to admit my mistakes where I'm somewhat the bad guy. But overall, transparency is the key. And this is the new digital age we live in. This is a form of communication. Jayan and I are not talking. And maybe it'll make things worse. Maybe it'll make things better. I don't know. But at this point, I just want a way forward without me making unilateral decisions and pulling triggers, right? So stay tuned, because I would love nothing more than for Jayan to come online with me and say what she wants, to tell us her plan, right? To see where this can be fixed.
Mind you, they're in the same house. They're in the same house. Honesty. So the one thing I'll say that's been kind of interesting following some of these videos is that it's really interesting sort of thinking about this as a way that people communicate, right? This is a couple that is in the same gigantic house, but the same house, right? And their primary way of communicating in conflict is to share their side on social media, let people support them in their own specific way, and then come back together. Just insanity to me. They're in the same house, but he wants for her to come up and talk. Why?
The comments that I've received on the last video that I did, the ones that stand out are the people saying that I neglected my children on Christmas. I didn't neglect them.
Yes, you did.
My staying away and my staying downstairs is to honor the separation.
Okay.
But it's also for everyone to see what that means, what that separation means. It was intentional.
Yeah, you were being immature.
I'm heartbroken by it.
You did it to yourself.
The stakes are high, and everyone needs to act with intention and clarity. So that's an update.
It's just crazy to me. Like, it's just highlighting his personality, right? Like, so you had the option to present a face for your kids. Like, you could have had your issue and conflict, but presented a positive, fun, happy, jovial face for your family. And you decided not to do that. You decided to starve them out, right? And it's petulant, childish, right? People are supposed to feel punished because you decided not to do something. And I get it, like you don't want to be near her probably because she wants a separation or wanted a separation. We'll get to that. But at the end of the day, you opted not to do that, right? You did neglect your children on Christmas. You absolutely did. You know what's funny thinking about this? My parents were not perfect, right? My parents were definitely not perfect. But one thing I will say is I never saw my parents argue. Now, there were nights where I may have heard it, but my father made a point of, if they had issues, whether it was bills that needed to be paid or disagreements between them, at least during my childhood, they didn't bring it to us. The fact that he feels so comfortable punishing his children for his mother not wanting to be with him, it says a lot, doesn't it? It really, really does. Anyway, this next video gagged me, girl. It really did.
Welcome to the top floor of my 4-story mansion in Honolulu, Hawaii on New Year's Eve 2025. And you know why I know that my Americanized Filipino wife is not gonna leave me? She's pregnant. She may not love me, she may not want me, but she needs me. And that's what love is based on. Need. Don't fucking kid yourselves. Okay? Let's enjoy this New Year's Eve.
Now, remember what he said about his daughter, right? Remember how he said that one of his biggest things was being a mean dad so that they could go make sons? There's a reason he feels that way. There's a reason he feels that way. These guys can act like it's American women. It's just, you know, the way that American women have been masculinized over the years and feminism and all this other bullshit. But like, it isn't that. It is the fact that you want to control a woman, right? You want to control women. Plenty of American women want to have children. Plenty of American women would love to be housewives, right? But you don't want just that. You want to actually control these women. And one of the main ways that men control women is through pregnancy. That is what is at the core of the anti-abortion stuff happening in this country right now. It has nothing to do with anything other than men wanting to reinsert patriarchal control into our country in a way that can no longer be avoided. These men want for women to have less options. The reason why he describes her as Americanized and is discussing a context in which a woman decides to leave him is because that is the way that a lot of these men really feel, right? They feel like women shouldn't be able to leave. Women should not be able to leave. And American women having the power that they do, being able to have their own bank accounts and to, you know, make their own decisions about their bodies. Women who have that are no longer controllable, right? And that is what they resent. It has nothing to do with a lack of traditional values. It has to do with the way that these men want to abuse women. Because you'll notice they don't go after the conservative women in this country. These men hop, skip, and jump over the conservative women in this country to go and find some women in another country who they can manipulate. And trust me, baby, I'm not bitter because I've yet to see one of those men that I've wanted anything to do with. Like, a lot of these dudes, like, let them tell it, but all the women who talk about this stuff online are just bitter and jealous because they can't find a man or something. But like, no, a lot of these men just function from a position where they really only can imagine being in relationships like this where the power imbalance is so great, right? That's why these men trap these women into these relationships, right? And you'll hear him say he is so excited that she no longer gets to leave. He's so excited that she's now apparently stuck with him. He says that love is based on need, but like, No, that's just the kind of relationship that you personally want. You personally want to be in a relationship with a woman who needs you. And frankly, I think that more men could stand to ask themselves, why do they want to be in relationships with women who are essentially stuck in relationships with them? Why is it that you can only imagine being in a relationship with a woman if she needs you? This is something that I think about a lot because in my relationship with my ex, I started making more money than him, and I could just tell that after that point was reached, our relationship changed. Because when he had met me, I was, living on my parents' couch. I didn't have a job. I was not nearly as successful as I currently am. And so he was able to come in there and swoop in and, be my knight in shining armor. And obviously there's a part of me that appreciated that, right? But I thought I was in love, right? I thought that I was in love. And so for me, it was confusing when it seemed like our relationship changed once I was finally able to survive on my own. I spent 6 years with him, and it was very hard for me to reach the end of my relationship with him and kind of recognize that, he started his relationship with me because he felt more powerful than me. And the moment that dynamic changed, I was less interesting to him. It's hard to recognize that sometimes the men that you enter into relationships with really only want to be in relationships with you when they feel like they're better than you, when they feel like they're above you. It's really heartbreaking to recognize that. So today I saw another video from Joyanne, and she seems to have made some decisions, and I wanted to show it to you guys.
Hey guys, I just wanted to give you an update. I am safe and the kids are safe, and I just wanted to thank all of you for your positive comments, supporting me through this process. And I just wanted to let you guys know that I am not setting up any GoFundMe or any donations. It's because I don't want to disappoint people, and part of my culture as much as possible, especially you have children, if you can work things out, just work things out. Since the day that I shared my side of the story, we have been talking, and also we came up to some resolutions and conditions that now that I am 6 weeks pregnant, I am going back to the Philippines on my second trimester. I know it's not a good idea for me to go back to the Philippines because something might happen, but for me it's really important for me to go back. It's because this is also one of our problems, one of the root of our problems, that me longing to my home country and him thinking that I don't like to be in here. So we're just resolving little by little. I just wanted to clarify too that I am not getting any allowance and I don't have credit card. So everything that I am purchasing, I have to ask permission, and this needs to be discussed. So if you want something, we're gonna discuss it. This is how our marriage works. Honestly, I'm not the typical Filipina that's sending money to support my family back home, and I cannot send any money because I don't have it, first of all. And also, my family have a business in Manila. We have businesses there. Our parents sent us to a nice school growing up. So basically, we have the money growing up. And I honestly have to say this, that I have eaten really great restaurants back home than here because it's really expensive here. Anyway, just wanted to say thank you everybody.
Sad, right? Like, there's some people who I saw responding to this who are saying that she's leaving, right? But in the video, it's very clear that she's trying to work it out with her husband. She's just going to go back to the Philippines when she's in the second trimester, right? Here's what I hear from that. She's going to stay there with him all the way up to the point where she can no longer basically do physical labor. And then she's going to go to the Philippines where she will be taken care of by her family and he will not need to be responsible for her. And then in theory, once all of that is done, they'll come back and, continue on. So this is Editing Catherine here. And of course, this is one of those stories that has constant updates. And it seems like there's been a little bit more of a final decision made on Jayan's side. And I wanted to share the last video that I saw on Chad's dad's page, because I think it will give a better ending to this video. And of course, if you were interested in following the saga further, you could definitely get the updates on Chad's dad's page. I think I've definitely shown enough of this at this point, so you get the points I'm trying to make.
We were kidding ourselves before the Disney World disaster. We were putting out there that we were this perfect couple who had beaten the odds, that we could overcome the age gap, culture gap, power gap, and everything else. And that I, late in life, achieved my dream of having children, and she achieved her dream of getting out of poverty. No, that was the lie. We were liars before this, and now we're facing the truth. And the truth is, yeah, we have the fundamental problems of any marriage, but we have completely different expectations. We had different expectations of how life would go with this, massive challenge before us. And I've always believed, and I do believe Jan believed, that it was driven by love. It doesn't override the transactional nature of our relationship, the way every relationship has transactional natures. But Jan and I have been talking, and she's going to go back to the Philippines. Here's the letter. Hi, baby loves. I'm writing you a letter to tell you formally that I will go back to the Philippines on my second trimester, second week of April 2025. I know that it's going to be hard on you, me taking the kids back to my home country, but I think it's going to be the best decision to work our falling relationship. I'd also like to have a written letter that you are allowing me to take the kids, allowing me to take the kids with me. I don't want to be in a position where I am being accused of something I have no intention of doing. The kids will be taken care very well with my family's help, as well as me during this pregnancy. I hope this time frame being away would also help you to focus on your work and business, Jayan. So the plan is she will go back because she will get better support from her family there. Because here in Hawaii, it's just us. It's just two parents, raising two toddlers, and now, a third on the way. And, well, it's scary. It's scary for both of us because, for me, it's if it's a willing departure, then I trust that she comes back. And the hardest part will be, for me personally, being away from my children. And I know it will be hard for Jayan because, I'm very bonded to them. They're very bonded to me, and she enjoys seeing that. That's what a family is. But it's also the reason why the Disney World trip happened and not her going back to the Philippines because she was homesick. I know she mentioned in an earlier post that I reneged on an agreement that she could go back for a couple of months. And the real reason I reneged on that is because after I'd agreed to it and actually booked the tickets, I was going to be without my children for 3 months. And it wasn't a bad renege or, cancellation, because all I said to her was, just picture yourself being without Race and Rocky for 3 months. And it was settled that way, to be continued with something else. And the something else was the grand Disney World trip.
So anyway, all that being said, I guess I will change. That feels so much yummier. Anyway, I just wanted to share my thoughts about this because it was going on in my feed, and I hope that she gets out of it. I really do. Just looking at their relationship from what we see on TikTok, right? Which we didn't need to have access to, but they openly shared with us. It really doesn't seem like he respects her or women in general very much. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Of course, we only see what we see. People could totally get the wrong impression, and who knows, maybe we don't know what we're talking about on here. But I just sort of get the impression that he doesn't really like women very much, and I really hope that she's okay at the end of the day. I'm gonna miss TikTok, and I'm gonna miss the way that we come together to discuss these trending topics. TikTok is really unique in that way, where something like this, which wouldn't get on the news or anything like that, is a subject of conversation that leads to a wider conversation about things like this.
Well, it didn't take long. It took only about 18 years, literally to the day, January 1st, for my Filipino husband to become fully Americanized, and he has decided that he hates everything about me and what I provided, and he's gonna leave. Hey, who said you can leave?
I'm the daughter of a passport bro. Overall, I guess I would just not recommend. They were not a good match. It was very difficult. Very difficult. Just watching my dad treat my mom like garbage all the time made me also think like my mom deserved to be treated like garbage. Also, we'd go out into the world and I'd see everybody treat my mom like garbage.
Have you guys seen the video of that crusty old dude who's like, my Filipino wife has been Americanized and she left me, and then he basically tells on himself for abusing her and then explains how he thinks he's a victim? Men like that are all over Thailand. If you watch that dude's video, you'll notice he feels because he pays for everything, he owns her. These men see their women as property. And a lot of times, these Thai women don't know what they're getting into. $50,000 a year is a lot in Thailand. It's like 150,000 baht per month. So these women marry these men and get promised this life of luxury, and they move back to the US and living in a one-bedroom apartment. They're struggling to make ends meet. On top of that, her husband disrespects her all the time, treats her badly in front of other people, and expects her to do all the household chores without complaint.
Growing up in the Philippines, you see passport bros all the time. All the time. It's like normalized. Minsan pa nga pa may ating nakapangasawa ng AFAM, sinasabi nila, isang Pilipino na naman ang nakaahon sa hirap. Pero pag nakadating ka na sa Amerika, makikita mo talaga na hindi pantay ang tingin nila sa atin. Unfortunately, I'm literally holding your hand when I say this. At ang masasabi ko lang sa mga ate ko, at sa mga tita ko na mag-aafam dyan, always have an exit plan.
For all the bad things on TikTok, I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss the way that especially women have come together to help other women. I know that in a lot of other situations, there are women who feel very isolated within their situation. And it's nice to see so many people come and share their thoughts and share their support for Joy Ann, who is in what I think is a very, very, very uncomfortable situation that I'm hoping, wishing, and praying she gets out soon. So anyway, I would love to know what your feelings and thoughts are about passport bros. As I've stated a couple of different times on different platforms, I am working on a video about the 4B movement that is going to tie into a lot of the things that I said in this video. So stay tuned for that. I'm also really in a position right now where I'm trying to figure out what the best approach would be for you guys, because I'm sitting on a lot of silly videos and I'm sitting on a lot of not so silly videos. And I'm not quite sure what you guys want the most. And I'm trying to think of the position that I can take right now that is sustainable for me, that helps me feed my art and creativity, but also keeps me sane. While I will always be somebody who calls out many of the things that I talked about in this video, and obviously existing as a openly polyamorous, sex-positive, Black transgender woman, literally all the things that Trump hates, that his ilk hate, right? Like, obviously I'm going to feel it, but I don't want feeling it to be such a part of my work. So there's going to be a slight shift. You guys have already started to see the shift happen. You'll notice that we are committing to a certain theme, and look over here, we are dipping into hyper-real territory, I think. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of little things that I have that I'm cooking up, and I just kind of want to know what you guys want to see the most so that I know where to put my energies. For example, speaking of age gap relationships, I'm working on a video about MILF Manor. I actually have a lot of commentary about that, and especially age gap relationships within the context of that. So let me know if you guys want to see that, because that would be a really fun one to watch. And there's just so much going on. Baby Girl, Nosferatu, like there's just too much happening, and I am playing catch up. Squid Games, too much happening. So yeah, let me know if any of that interests you. I am always open to hearing what you guys would like to see. I also will be more on Instagram than I typically have been because of the whole TikTok ban. There's so much to say about Meta, but unfortunately, most of my audience is still on Meta if they're not on YouTube. So I got to do what I got to do. Speaking of which, the best way to hear what I'm doing behind the scenes is to join my Patreon. On my Patreon, I try to upload regular vlogs about my life and about what I'm doing on YouTube. A huge shout out to my last 3 recent Patreon members, Chewy Cheshire, Robert Shields, and Henry Dixon. Thank you so much for supporting me over on Patreon. I really, really, really appreciate the support, especially right now. I do not know what the future of this channel will be, but I know that I have an incredible amount of gusto and excitement for what I have to post this year. So I'm excited to show you guys, and I hope that this time next year, this channel is a lot different and a lot larger. So yeah, thank you so much for supporting me over on Patreon. You guys are one of the main ways that I'm able to continue doing this, and I really appreciate you. So on that note, I will talk to you guys later. As per usual, I want you to always remember and to never forget that you are beautiful and you are loved. Bye.